What's up, everyone? Shaquille Mahjoudi here, and you know who this is. He is the former AEW World's Champion, and he might be once again as he challenges Jon Moxley in the main event of AEW All In Texas on July 12th. Don't ask RJ City why they call him the Hangman. Adam Page, how are you, sir?
Howdy, I'm well. How are you?
I'm well. What time is it over there?
I don't know. 1 o'clock, 1:01 actually.
Oh,
PM.
goodness. Okay. Well, good morning. Nice to see you. Your wife's plants are looking beautiful behind you there.
Thank you. Yeah, I told you. Yeah, these are my wife does the plants inside, so I don't know what's happening in here. And I didn't even know this is there's an English ivy in our house right now. So after this, I might do something with that. I don't know. Haven't figured it out. We're gonna have to have a chat. Yeah.
All right. I love the enthusiasm. Let's start there. Because someone needed your help. I told you I put a fan Q&A. There are so many gardening questions. I'm sorry I can't get to all of them. This man and his poor wife are having trouble growing their broccoli and their tomatoes. Do you have any tips for them?
No, not at all. No, see, the thing is, I don't know shit, right? I just have Google like everybody else. I don't actually know anything. I don't know. I don't know why you think I would. I'm a professional wrestler. I don't know anything about gardening. No, I didn't Google it. I don't know. Sorry.
Well, I'm glad to see some of them are alive. My wife keeps trying to get into more. She wants more plants in the house, but everything she touches just dies a swift death, and I am in no way capable of contributing.
I've learned they need light. You have to get.
We have no light in our house.
Not even overhead. There's going to be sunlight onto them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not my life, unfortunately. Basement sweet living. It is what it is. Okay, let's talk a little bit about AEW. I promise you guys we will circle back to the garden, but I do have a job I need to get paid for, and bosses that'll be very unhappy if I don't. It's really nice to see you in this position because I think for a while now the fans have, one of the things AEW has always leaned into is a sort of rotating cast. But I think for a while now, a lot of fans have identified Hangman Adam Page as the main character of AEW. How does it feel to have the promotion once again sort of identify you as that and put you in this big spot heading into their biggest show of the year?
Yeah, I did not expect to be in this position. As hard as I have tried for, I don't know, it's been 3 years, I guess, and I hadn't gotten here. This is our biggest show in the U.S. ever, in North America ever, and I'll be headlining it, and I intend to win the World Championship at it. So that's the kind of thing that I've tried to work towards, for the past 3 years since I lost the championship. And to be honest, there's a lot of times where I kind of thought that was it for me, as far as these big opportunities, these big moments. And a lot of that boils down to me, who I was deciding to be, and that that kind of attitude that I had did not lead me to these kind of opportunities, unfortunately, or maybe actually in this case, fortunately, because now I do have the chance, and in some weird way, all that will have been worth it, I assume.
At his lowest, who was the Hangman that maybe didn't see himself deserving of these opportunities, or was maybe getting in his own way?
At my lowest,
yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, this is something fun to talk about with someone you've never met.
I'm so sorry. I know. I mean, you kind of gave the opening, and I just dove in with reckless abandon. Okay. And if you don't want to, that's okay, Adam.
No. Yeah. My life has played out in many ways on television for the world. So that's what we're here for. Causing ultimately at my hands the retirement of the fallen angel Christopher Daniels. Yeah, that's maybe the lowest because, he's someone that, as a kid, I hate to age him, but as a kid, I watched him. I grew up watching him. I looked up to him, as a wrestler. I met him when I was 19 for the first time, and we wrestled at the Wentworth National Guard Armory. We were booked on a Saturday, wrestled on a Sunday. It was probably about 1 a.m. And, I met him when I was 19 there, and he was so kind and treated me with such respect, that, as people, as humans, we all deserve, but, he didn't necessarily have to go out of his way in the way that he did to make me, feel confident in myself that, I had a place in the world of wrestling, or, could carve out something for myself. I could be something, in the way that he was. And he's somebody that spent so much time with, at shows and traveling and Ring of Honor and New Japan. And then, he may have signed an AEW contract before I did. And, we did them on January 1st. So, ultimately his retirement, you could look at it and you could say that it was, it was going to come at some point. That was going to be undeniable with the way time works. But it came sooner than it should have or could have because of me. And that's something that I will just, have to carry with me, I guess.
I told you I always put out these fan Q&As, and the level of reception they get varies from person to person. This was probably one of the most intense feedbacks I've gotten in some time. Why do you think there's such a kinship between you and the AEW audience? Because they love their Hangman.
I don't know. I try not to spend too much time thinking about it. That's for them. That's for them to decide. Whoever, if you're watching wrestling, whoever, whatever you like, that's up for you to decide. I'm just going to go to work on Wednesday and do my job the best that I can. The rest is up. I will let them tell you. Okay. I don't know. I've wondered the same thing myself a lot. Yeah, I don't know. That's not an answer that needs to come from me, I don't think.
Very rarely will I actually just pull a specific question word for word, but I thought this one was really eloquent, so I'm going to give a shout out to user Mr. Finch, which is also the name of my high school principal, so it's one of the same. Shout out, Mr. Finch.
Okay.
And he was talking about your villainous runs, heel runs, and what he wrote was, Hangman has always been very inclusive and empathy focused. How much of a challenge has it been for him to be a bad guy without falling into some of the less open-minded tropes of wrestling heel during these recent heel runs? You don't belittle, demean the audience. You're not out there calling people fat. How intentional is it for you to thread that line when you are presenting as a more villainous character while still staying true to your principles as a person?
I think, for me in wrestling, someone that you watch on TV every week that, you come to have, this kind of relationship with, who you see me to be, it is always important to me to make sure that what I'm giving you is genuine. It's true. It's real. And there's certain, things about me that even at my lowest, I don't betray. I would not betray. There's nothing in me. There's nothing for me in it to betray those things. These aren't necessarily conscious decisions. I will do this. I won't do that. The me that you've seen is me. So whatever you take from what comes out, like the question earlier, that's ultimately just up to you as a viewer. But I've just tried to be me, for better or worse, 1,000 times over.
What was going through your mind when one of your recently graduating students asked if you could move in together because you were both living at home and needed roommates? Probably I shouldn't do that. Probably inappropriate. I think you made the right call.
But she had a point because I just finished college. I'd moved home. I was still living with my parents when I started teaching. This was my very first semester. Actually, I think she graduated midway through the year in December. So I'd been living at home for 5 months or something like that. So she had a point. But yeah, probably wholly, shouldn't do that. No, I did have to pass, but as pleasantly as I could. Yeah. Hope she's well.
Teenagers, man. Teenagers. I hope she's doing well wherever she is in life. I hope that early graduation served her well. She's off successful, doing whatever makes her happy. What would you say was most challenging about your first run as world champion?
I felt that I had worked so hard for so long to win the world championship. And that is where, my vision was. That's all I thought about. But I guess I probably did not take a lot of time in thinking, what would happen the morning after, the week after, the month after. That is a different challenge. There's a different kind of drive that a person would have to win something as opposed to hold it and keep it. You know, I think that's maybe the main difference, and I feel that this time around in challenging for the World Championship, you know, I kind of understand that difference a bit more, having been there before. So should I win at All In, you know, I've got maybe a different approach this time.
Okay. What would, same line of questioning, but what would you say is the mission statement for the second run? How do you want it to be defined, or at least how do you want to approach your second reign as champion?
You know, I don't want to put the horse in front of the cart. Is that the saying? I think that's just how it goes.
You're the cowboy, sir. You don't ask me about horses.
You know, I think that's how it goes. I don't want to count my
the cart before the horse.
There's a lot of
because you want the horse before the cart.
Okay. But you know, the World Championship now has been hidden inside of a briefcase for the better part of a year. You know, I think back about the way that wrestling felt for me when AEW was beginning, you know, before it was a thing. And then in the early days when it was fresh and it was new and it was exciting. And the sense that we were all working towards a common goal, right, of creating the most interesting, compelling, exciting wrestling TV that there was and would be. And I think, AEW still has managed to be that throughout these 5 or 6 years now. But the World Championship was a physical manifestation of those things for me, and not just, you know, about wrestling, but about, you know, humanity as a whole, you know, how we treat each other. So, you know, should I win it, I would want to carry it with those things in mind, with those feelings that I had it from the onset of this company in mind, and try to make sure that while holding that championship, I'd live up to those ideals the best that I can.
Pro wrestling is a cyclical industry, right? There are peaks and there are dips and there are ebbs and flows in between. And one of the things I found most compelling about AEW in 2025 is I feel like at the same time that fans are becoming more receptive to some of the directions the promotion is going, the venues that are being selected, how loud and exciting it is in these live arenas. It's kind of happening at the same time that Hangman Adam Page is working his way back into this world title scene. I guess, as someone who's been with the company since day one, how does it feel to be in this upwards trajectory at the same time that it feels like this groundswell of support is reinvigorated for AEW?
It very much does feel like, for me personally, you know, in my experience week to week, a lot of the same kind of magic of those first few weeks and months of AEW TV. You know, the things I was talking about earlier, the sense of wanting to work together for a common goal, to make something good, exciting, new, fun, fresh. The trajectory has felt upwards, and I'm just gracious to still be here and still be a part of that. Yeah.
How weak would your social life be if not for your wife initiating and becoming friends with all the other moms? Because I know I'd have no social life if it wasn't for my wife. It wouldn't
exist. It wouldn't exist. I have, you know, friends and stuff, you know, from like when I was young, living at home and stuff, that obviously I keep in touch with and hang out with and stuff like that. But as far as like having moved to a new city and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't know anyone. No, wouldn't at all. And, you know, like, it's funny too, because like, I mean, granted, our travel schedule is uniquely fantastic, and that normally I can leave, you know, I'll leave here in a couple hours and I'll be home by lunchtime on Thursday. And like, that's my typical work week. But I leave home so often that when I get home, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be at home because I've been gone. And then, you know, obviously she's going to have the different mindset. She's been, oh my God, I'm going crazy. I've been stuck at home with the kids. Like, let's go. And I've just walked in the door. But yeah, if not for her, I would know no one. No, I would know old friends and work friends, and that would probably be it.
You'd be sitting in a blank room talking to a stranger over Zoom, no plants to brighten up the scenery. It'd be kind of depressing.
This is not really emblematic of, this is not a good representation of my whole house. I I don't know. I didn't want to show my whole house. I'm in like the basement against the white wall. This house doesn't look this boring, I promise.
I'm sure. I believe you. You can't have children's replica belts all over the place like me. It wouldn't look professional.
They're on the other side.
Yes, sir. As we begin to wrap up here, back to the fan Q&As on the way out.
Sure.
Tell me about your memories competing in the 2018 G1 Climax. What stood out most from that opportunity?
Oh man, that was one of the first times I felt like I got to be a part of something that, you know, was historic, that had prestige. Like it was an honor to get to be a part of something that I remember like reading about when I was a kid, like this, you know, prestigious tournament. It was grueling. It's tough because you are either wrestling a singles match that might go 15, 20, 30 minutes and then a long ass bus ride. And then you might have like a tag the next day, but then you're right back to the singles again. And the expectations are so high, from fans and, of yourself, the expectations are so high. But, it felt like halfway through, at least for me, felt like, oh yeah, maybe the points aren't necessarily all there, but like I'm hanging, I'm doing well. So like that was a big confidence builder for me, in what I could do to, and like without having I don't want to say like the crutch of being in America, it's a place I was in a place I was totally unfamiliar with. I'd not been visiting Japan very long at that point. So to be, in a foreign place with a lot of people I didn't know that well, really outside of my comfort zone, and to, perform at least pretty well, was a big confidence builder for me. Yeah.
Okay, let's hit these rapid fires. First, from one curly-haired user to curly-haired former world champ, what is the secret to keeping the curls looking so perfect?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Natural. Just somewhat blessed this way.
It's like the only question I'll just refuse to answer outright. Yeah, sorry.
Because you don't want to give away the secrets, or because you really, truly don't know?
Well, I can't tell you that either, so.
Fair enough. Give me your favorite history fun fact.
History fun fact. God, I don't know. I don't know. So I was a teacher. I didn't teach history.
I know. I was like, I know you didn't teach history, but the person insisted on asking you this question. I was like, maybe some.
Yeah, I didn't. I did well in history in school, but once I was done, like it was out of my brain. History fun fact. I don't know. These I can't give you. I don't have a good one. Sorry. Well, it's a lame.
What do you miss most about teaching?
What do I miss most? Just the people. I feel like any job that you have, even if the job itself sucks, if you and not that teaching did, but the people, the relationships that you create at that place are more important than the work itself a lot of times. And that's how teaching felt. Whether it's with like people that I worked with, teachers, administration, the actual kids, they were great. It was a cool experience to get to, be a small part of their lives, I guess.
Last one on the rapid fires. Favorite and most annoying plant in your garden?
Most annoying is English ivy. The shit is everywhere. I've lived on like an acre and a half, and I probably expect at least half an acre in the back is just covered in English ivy. I've gotten it off most of the trees, which is a fucking whole thing. But on the ground, I mean, it's matted up like, this thick, and you can't spray it because it's waxy. You can't just mow it down. It comes right back up. You have to manually pull it out, roots and all, from the ground, and they're going to keep coming back. I fully intend to one day, when I have the time and energy, get out there and pull every bit of it up and burn it. But even half an acre, like, it may be impossible. I don't know. I might be setting myself up to do something literally impossible, but I will try it. But that's least favorite. Most favorite, this might be a seasonal answer, but my bottle brush Buckeye looks fantastic right now. And it's probably because it's my favorite because it's doing the best, not because it's like actually my favorite plant, but it's doing so good. And it's got these tall, conical white flowers coming from it. Like they're just started to really bloom. Looks incredible. I'll put up a picture. Okay,
I'm just going to steal an extra minute of your time. I apologize, but I do want to get your take on the story. I saw a Reddit post about a guy whose neighbor put in a large spotlight going directly into his bedroom window. Guy could not sleep, went over politely, brought a 6-pack of beers, like, hey man, would it be possible to just move that? Guy says, sure. Next day, won't do it, won't answer his calls. won't answer his door. This goes on for months. I want to ask you, appropriate or petty response? Homie plants a bunch of bamboo right on the edge of his fence, and so the roots start growing into the neighbor's yard, and eventually not only does it block out the spotlight, but his neighbor can't see anything because his entire garden is taken over by bamboo that can't be removed because it technically starts on this guy's side of the property. Petty or an appropriate response? Or appropriately petty?
I won't comment on the legality because I don't know.
No.
I would be curious, right, what the rules are. My first thought would be just get blackout shades, right? That's easiest. Had it been a different, more beneficial or native plant that could have screened the light out, sure, I'd say that's great. Bamboo, man, go to hell. So I will have to side, unfortunately, with the light guy. If I had to pick, he's wrong, but bamboo's worse than a light. So, get some blackout shades. Blackout shades. I mean, shit, I don't know why the light's coming in your window. I don't know. Actually, the other house that we did live at, we had a neighbor that had a backyard spotlight that lit up our blackout shades. It's easy, right? Not bamboo.
How deep? Last question. I'll let you go here, Hangman. How deep is your poetry knowledge? Because I've seen you drop some bars on AEW TV.
Oh yeah, none.
None. Okay,
Shallower
so
than
all right, I'll ask you a simpler question then.
Okay.
First AEW World Title match against Chris Jericho. First World Title reign, second World Title reign. Can you just, in a sentence, describe who each of those Hangmen were?
In a sentence, with Chris Jericho, Hangman was trying. Against Kenny, Hangman did it. This go around, Hangman will win it and hold it and carry it.
Hangman Adam Page, ahead of your match against Jon Moxley at AEW All In on July 12th in Texas, biggest U.S. AEW crowd in history. If there's anything you want to leave the people with, the floor is yours, man.
Just have a blessed day. Have a good time.